The cover page of One Piece Chapter 1104, Thank You Daddy, pause, features Sanji catering a dinner for two mice who just got engaged. And Oda's author comment for this one is great. He's really excited about his old one-shot monsters getting animated. Our guy's been receiving his flowers and then some lately. We pick things up right where the last chapter ended. Kuma is winding up a massive punch aimed at Saint Saturn. So many harsh memories were backing this fist of his. Saturn once told Kuma that he could either live as a slave or die. Those were the only two options available for someone with Buccaneer blood. Kuma remembered his father, telling him that his mother had passed away. He remembered the tears in the old Buccaneer's eyes as he tried to say that she is in a better place now. Ginny told him how happy she was after they managed to escape slavery. Then, years later, the Denden Mushi call came in, saying that she was at death's door. We'd see him praying in his church with a baby Bonnie in his arms. In the present, Bonnie hasn't been able to open her eyes. She's still crying her heart out. While Kuma was lining up his hit, Saint Saturn called out to Dr. Vegapunk, totally bewildered. The original Kuma should not be alive. Apparently, Saturn triggered their contingency plan right after the Revolutionary Army attacked Mary Joa. With Kuma in the Revolutionary Army's hands, he triggered the self-destruct mechanism inside his body, which is absolutely insane. If that had worked out, it would have been a crippling blow to the enemy's forces. Somehow, Saint Saturn manages to become more unlikable with each chapter. Vegapunk is shocked by the Elder's words. Sanji and Frankie scowl, but are still stuck for the moment thanks to Saturn's mysterious paralysis power. Before the Gorosei can keep talking to Vegapunk, Kuma's finally reached him. All his anger and all his pain have finally caught up with the Elder Star. A massive armament hockey imbued fist collided with a monster's face. This man Saturn has not felt anything like this in hundreds of years, and he is clearly not a fan of the sensation. Welcome back to reality, old man. And oh, good lord, Oda absolutely delivered here with a glorious shot of the impact. Even Saturn's many legs are not enough to keep him standing here. He cracks the ground as Kuma's punch forces him back over the rock and dirt of the island. The attack damages the foundations of multiple Egghead buildings, causing them to start crumbling. Before Saint Saturn can get back to his feet, hundreds of tons of metal, concrete, and glass debris begin falling down around him. He's even broken a horn. All the old man can do is lay there, struggling to get up. But he can't. He's pinned under all that weight. Marines on the other side of the island look up, shocked as they see half the Egghead skyline start to collapse. They are thoroughly disturbed by what Kuma has managed to do. The Marines who clearly saw what happened cannot believe it at all. Kuma, the pirate and former slave, just punched one of the Gorosei into the ground. The highest authority in the world government was just violated in front of all of them. And now, Kuma's just standing there like this was nothing. The only thing that lets you know he's still alive is the sound of his breathing. These poor Marines might end up getting clapped by the world government just for seeing this. Many of them began running forward, planning to try and dig Saint Saturn out from multiple skyscrapers worth of rubble. It says a lot that they still expect Saturn to have survived that. All the while, they're still complaining about the fact that an elder of the world government was struck by a slave. But Kuma is not listening to them. He just waits while taking a Kaepernick knee. The Straw Hats and Vegapunks are finally able to move now that Saturn's out of the way. Sanji, Frankie, and Atlas are all running towards Bonnie, trying to make sure that she's okay. This is their big chance. Even if Saturn isn't dead, they've got an opportunity to run off to the upper levels. But Vegapunk doesn't move. He's trying to figure out what's going on with Kuma. As it turns out, he didn't actually install a bomb. It was more of a shutdown measure, something that was supposed to deactivate Kuma's cyborg implants and programming. Since Kuma's already had his mind removed, that should have left him unable to do anything. But here's Kuma, gently reaching down for his crying daughter. Holding her in his arms, he gives her the biggest hug he can. Again, how is this possible? Vegapunk's almost stumped by this. He calls it beyond science, but he's beginning to form a working theory. One related to some kind of special Buccaneer trait. They didn't just have strong bodies. There was something else special about them too. But for now, he keeps this information to himself. It looks like the Battle of Egghead is over, assuming the Straw Hats can actually use this time to escape. Even Kizaru admits it, though he doesn't seem upset. Sentomaru is still tied up, but spots Kuma and smiles at him. The Marines don't even know where Luffy is. He got away just before they could apprehend him. It's such a bad look that they're hesitant to report it. and I am sure that is going to bite them in the butt real soon. But all that doesn't matter to Bonnie and Kuma. The little girl from Sorbet puts a hand to her father's chin. She gets to talk to him for what narratively feels like it may be the very last time. She thanks her father for everything. Trying to hold her tears back, Bonnie lets Kuma know that she saw his memories. She knows about her mother Ginny and calls her an amazing woman. She knows about the letters Kuma tried to send her. Even if they were intercepted, just knowing that that happened at all made her happy. Reaching up to hug her dad as tightly as she can, Bonnie is finally at peace. She doesn't care if everyone else calls Kuma a tyrant. She knows that he's kind and the coolest person in the world. And she promises that she will never forget that. Although Kuma can't respond, he doesn't stop holding her close. But just then, the skyscraper-sized pile of rubble Kuma buries Saint Saturn under explodes. Haki begins crackling from below. Spider legs crash into the ground as the elder gets back up. Bonnie finally looks up from her dad's hug, shocked. Saturn is badly hurt. He's lost a horn and an entire arm. His cloud-like beard is now covered in his own blood, but he remains strong, yelling at Dr. Vegapunk. He still wants an explanation for how Kuma has been able to punch him. He assumes this was Vegapunk's fault and glares at him, looking for the scientist to explain. Vegapunk looks defeated as he admits to being partially responsible, but he claims that it is just as much the power of love as it is the power of science. Saturn doesn't really care about the sentimental side of it though. As far as he was concerned, this was Vegapunk's mistake. He was being short-sighted and woefully human, which pairs ominously well with the fact that Saturn actually grows back both his horn and his ripped off arm in seconds. Sanji's shocked at this, and rightfully so. Healing powers are exceptionally rare in One Piece. This just took Saint Saturn from a powerful enemy to one that they probably can't kill for good. One of you guys had a fun theory about that. What if it's a special Logia type? Blackbeard still takes damage and doesn't turn into darkness. Maybe this Logia fruit is awakened and changed his body. And fair enough. Saturn's healing sure looks like a Logia pulling itself back together. But there really isn't much else to suggest that just yet, although it would be absolutely insane. Saturn tries to pierce Kuma with one of his massive legs. Bonnie yells at her dad to move out of the way, but Kuma can't hear her. He's only partially able to control his body. Thankfully, Sanji's able to move now. He's not going to let a little girl watch her father die. He jumps high into the air and kicks that massive leg right out of the way. From there, Saturn notices a bright light. Frankie starts charging up his radical beam, ready to repay a bit of the debt he owes Kuma for protecting the Thousand Sunny during the time skip. But it is not that easy, because Kizaru gets back on his feet. He notes how much these Straw Hats have grown since he last saw them on Sabaody. And I was kind of expecting him to manipulate Frankie's beam or something cool like that, but no. The radical beam hits Saturn right in the gut, piercing his body straight through. And listen, I'm having a hard time remembering, but do these radical beams usually hit? I love how the moment we get a regenerating character, Frankie manages to deliver the most devastating beam of his entire career. But by focusing on the Elder, Frankie doesn't see the Admiral coming at him from behind. He starts to turn, but it is too late. Kizaru glows, ready to put the Straw Hat's new strength to a real test. Sanji screams for his friend, but there is no time. Kizaru kicks Frankie through the Egghead ruins, ending the beam attack. But hey, Frankie's stock should be higher than Skypiea right now. The list of characters that have fought against a CP0 agent, an Admiral, a Yonko, and one of the 5 elders is very short. But Frankie is on it. Saturn doesn't bother saying anything, but the wound in his gut is already closing up. That regeneration of his is fast. If you can basically ignore being impaled, anything less than that massive building-shattering punch won't do much to seriously hurt you. But that closes off another theory about Saturn's regeneration. Black Hole of Time pointed out that most spiders regrow their limbs. And yeah, if the Yuki is a mythical Zoan, it would be a version of the spider fruit. But spiders don't regrow their internal organs, do they? Bonnie screams to Vegapunk that her father can't move. Stella then orders Atlas to carry Kuma over to their meeting point in the Labostratum. The little big punk does just that, throwing Kuma over her head and running off. The evacuation has finally begun. But oh man, One Piece size comparisons always throw me off when we have moments like these. Kuma just looks like an oversized toddler here. But I know that man is huge. Regardless, the Straw Hats still have Kizaru and Saturn to deal with. The Admiral tries to act confident, claiming that it is time for them to just wrap this up. But Vegapunk doesn't look nervous. He just calls Kizaru sad, asking if he has no heart, and that hit home. Kizaru has to fix his glasses, closing his eyes for a second. Then he delivers one of the smoothest lines possible, that he should have brought a darker pair of shades to save himself from embarrassment. Now, I don't know when it'll be appropriate, but as a man who loves him some shades, I am absolutely stealing that line. But yeah, Mr. McDonald really isn't happy about this. Not just having to kill Vegapunk and defeat Sentomaru, but execute Bonnie and Kuma too? This is really pushing the limits of his loyalty. That being said, he talks about wrapping things up, but doesn't exactly specify how he'd like that to go. If there was ever going to be a time for Kizaru to switch sides, it would be now. But for the time being, he should be able to avoid playing that card for at least a little while longer. A major moment like that is bound to be used as a twist when things are at their absolute worst. But just when you think things couldn't possibly get any worse, Saturn manages to escalate this with just a few magic words. The Buster Call protocol has been authorized. By the authority of the world government, this island has been declared a threat to the entire world. All ships take aim. Reduce everything to ashes in the name of justice. That's right, Saturn just ordered the island he's standing on to be blown up. The thing Spandam did as a total accident on Enies Lobby, Saturn is willing to do on purpose. And listen, giving this order is already a major loss for the world government. They were supposed to just be killing the Vegapunks. They wanted to take all this technology and use it. Remember Saint Saturn's order when all this started. He gave the Marines 3 things they had to protect: Punk York, the facilities that made the Mother Flame, and Punk Records. So much for York trying to negotiate protection from the Gorosei. Now, the Marines are going to blow up all that stuff, as well as every single fancy invention Vegapunks made, including 4 Seraphim. S-Bear, S-Hawk, S-Shark, and S-Snake are still buried in the basement lair. Saturn just ordered over half of the world government's new super soldiers to be killed. The remaining 3 are in trouble too. After deploying S-Hawk and S-Snake on Amazon Lily, they need to be brought back to Egghead for maintenance. If the others can't be properly maintained, the whole project may be over now. And between Kuma, S-Snake's crush on Luffy, and Stussy's betrayal, who's to say that the other Seraphim won't end up going rogue too? This is all for the sake of taking down Vegapunk, Kuma, and Luffy here and now. Saturn is that angry with how things have gone. So is this the Egghead incident? Saturn getting punched? All this stuff getting blown up? I mean, it's possible, but it feels like we're still one step off. It's kind of just standard consequences so far. Blowing up some stuff while annoying the Marines and their bosses. For a world-shattering shift, we would need something like Saint Saturn getting outright defeated or Kizaru switching sides. We're close, but Egghead probably has at least one more major twist left before we leave. And plot armor aside, of course we're going to leave. It's not like the Straw Hats have never escaped a Buster Call before. Hell, this will be Robin's 3rd. That's gotta be some kind of record. And obviously the scale of this one is several times more severe, but remember what Luffy said to Kizaru. The Straw Hats are 100 times stronger than they were on Sabaody. And even back then, they were stronger than they were on Enies Lobby. Whatever the case, this is going to be super entertaining, and this chapter is a great way to start another incredible year of One Piece greatness. As always, I'm SliceofOtaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.